Namaste children. Last class we discussed about the properties of solution, suspension and colloids, isn't it? Now we are going to compare these solution, colloid and suspension. First property, particle size. If you take the size of the particle of solution smaller than 1 nanometer in diameter, colloid lies between 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, suspension greater than 100 nanometer. Appearance. Solution is very clear and transparent. Colloid is translucent. Suspension opaque in nature. If you take nature of the solution, colloid and suspension, solution is homogeneous. It mixes thoroughly with each other. Colloids and suspension will come under heterogeneous. Isn't it? Now see the size of the particles. Solution is very small. Colloid is in between suspension and solution, and suspension the larger in size. Next property, filterability. If you filter solution, colloid, suspension, what happens? Solution pass through ordinary filter paper. Colloid pass through ordinary filter paper. But suspension do not pass through the filter paper. Coming to the next property, settling of particles. Solutions and colloids are stable because particles of solution and colloid do not settle down. But coming to the suspension, they are unstable because particles of suspension settle down. Visibility. Solute particles are not visible even under a microscope. But coming to the colloids, we can detect the size of the particles by using ultra microscope. Under suspension, particles are generally visible to the naked eye. Last property, Tyndall effect. Solution does not scatter light and hence they do not show Tyndall effect. But colloids and suspension shows Tyndall effects. This is called Tyndall effect because it scatters the light, isn't it? Okay. Let's move on to the next topic. What is solution? A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. If a mixture is to be called a solution, it must satisfy two conditions. What are the two conditions? First one, the components of a mixture should be non-reacting and mixture should be homogeneous. Here we are having lemon juice mixed with water. So lemon juice is one component, water is another component. So they won't react with each other. At the same time, it forms a homogeneous mixture because they mixes thoroughly with each other. So this lemon juice, lemonade juice is considered as a solution. Got it, children? Components of a solution. There are two components of a solution. One is solvent, another one is solute. What is solvent? In a solution, the component dissolved is called the solute and the medium in which it is dissolved is called the solvent. In simple words, I will say the component of the solution which is present in small amount is called the solute, while the component of the solution which is present in large amount is called solvent. So easily you can remember small amount solute, large amount solvent. Understood, children? Okay. Now I'm going to give the examples of solution. What is the children? Potassium permanganate dissolves in water. So now what is solute? Potassium permanganate particles are solute. Solvent, water. What is this next one? Iodine tincture or tincture of iodine. Okay, what is solute? Iodine is solute. Solvent, alcohol. So iodine dissolves in alcohol. So alcohol is a major component, so it is solvent. Iodine is small amount, so solute. Got it, children? Next one. What is the children? Aerated drinks. What is solute? Carbon dioxide gas is solute. What is solvent? Water is solvent. Let's move on to the next topic, types of solution. First one, solid solutions. In solid solutions, solvent is solid. In that, we are having three different types. Solid, liquid and gas or act as a solute. Okay. First one, solid in solid. What is the example means? Alloys. That is, stainless steel is an alloy. It contains 74% of iron, 18% chromium, 8% nickel. In same way, if you take bronze, bronze contains 90% copper and 10% tin. So this is the first type in the solid solution, that is solid in solid. That is, solid act as a solvent and this solid act as a solute, like that. This is stainless steel. This one, bronze. Got it, children? Coming to the next one, liquid in solid. That is, liquid is solute, solid is solvent. In solid, liquid will be there. So what is the example means? Blue vitriol. That is nothing but hydrated copper sulfate. In the copper sulfate, water molecules will be there. Okay, children? Dental amalgam. That is mercury liquid and silver solid. Here copper sulfate. I said no, this is called copper sulfate. In this copper sulfate, some water molecules will be there. So liquid in solid. That is, this is dental amalgam. That is mercury liquid. In silver, mercury liquid will be there. So silver solid is a solvent. Mercury liquid is solute. Got it, children? Then third one, gas in solid. Gases observed over the surfaces of metals such as nickel, palladium, platinum, etc. Okay, then nickel, this is solid solvent. This nickel absorbs the gas. Understood, children? So in solid solutions, we are having three. One is solid solute, liquid solute and gas solute. It is there in which one? Solvent. What is solvent? Solid is the solvent. Next type of solution, that is liquid solution. In this, liquid act as a solvent. Now here also we are having three different solutes are there. What are the solutes? Solid, liquid and gas. First one, solid in liquid, sugar in water and tincture of iodine. This is iodine. Iodine is a solid, so solid solute. Okay, children? Alcohol. Alcohol is a solvent. So iodine in alcohol, that is nothing but tincture of iodine. Second type, liquid in liquid. Liquid is a solute and this liquid is a solvent. So acetone and water, alcohol and water, vinegar. Vinegar is nothing but acetic acid in water. So these three are examples for liquid in liquid. Then here, children, this is different type of vinegar. Apple vinegar, Like this, we are having different types of vinegars are there. So everything, vinegar is nothing but acetic acid in water. Next one, gas in liquid, that is aerated drinks. Carbon dioxide dissolved in water. So these are the three types of liquid solutions. Okay, children. To the next one, third type, gaseous solutions. Here also we are having three. First one, solid in gas, that is camphor in air, iodine in air. This is camphor. While burning the camphor, what happened? It mixes with the air, isn't it? So the camphor, that solid, is mixed with air. Camphor is a solute, air is a solvent. Iodine in air. This is iodine in air. Then next one, liquid in gas. Examples, clouds and fog. Third one, gas in gas, that is air. Okay, children. So these are the three types of gaseous solutions. So we are having solid solutions, liquid solutions and gaseous solutions. Under each one we are having three types of solutions. So totally we are having 9. Let's move on to the next topic. Why is solution called a true solution? The solutions of sugar, common salt, acetic acid, etc. in water are called true solutions. So these are called true solutions. Why? What is the reason? The particles of the solute are so thoroughly mixed with water that we cannot distinguish one from the other. If you dissolve sugar in the water, are you able to find out the sugar in the water after dissolving? No, it mixes together, isn't it? Thoroughly mixed with each other and forms a solution. So such type of solution are called true solutions. Okay, children? Aqueous and non-aqueous solution. What is the meaning for aqueous and non-aqueous? A solution in which water acts as a solvent is called an aqueous solution. If you dissolve salt in water, salt dissolves in water, water is the solvent. Sugar in water, again water is the solvent. In that case, if anything, the solution contains water and acts as a solvent, then it will be coming under the category of aqueous solution. A solution in which any other liquid apart from water act as the solvent is called non-aqueous solution. Example, ether, benzene, alcohol, carbon disulfide, carbon tetrachloride. This is carbon disulfide. This is non-aqueous solution. Benzene, non-aqueous solution. Carbon tetrachloride. So these are examples for non-aqueous solutions. Bromine in carbon tetrachloride. Bromine dissolves in carbon tetrachloride. This is bromine. Okay, children, this bromine dissolves in carbon tetrachloride. Next one, iodine in alcohol. Already we discussed, isn't it? This is iodine. It dissolves in alcohol. It won't dissolve in water. It dissolves in alcohol. So alcohol will come under non-aqueous solution. Sulfur in carbon disulfide. Sulfur dissolves only in carbon disulfide. So carbon disulfide is non-aqueous solution. This is sulfur. What is the color of sulfur, children? Yellow color. Saturated and unsaturated solution. A solution which contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved in a given quantity of the solvent at the given temperature and which cannot dissolve any more solute at that temperature is called a saturated solution. Next one, unsaturated solution. A solution contains less than the maximum that it can dissolve at the given temperature. The solution is said to be unsaturated. If you read like this, definitely you will be getting confused, children. I know very well. So I'm going to give one example. Here I'm having 1 tumbler of water. In this I'm going to add 1 spoon of salt. What happens? Salt dissolves in water. That is nothing but the salt particles occupies the intermolecular space of water. Isn't it? Now I'm going to add second spoon of salt in this water. What happens? It dissolves. So that salt is solute, water is a solvent. It dissolves. If I am adding third spoon of salt, what happens? It won't dissolve. It will settle down. The salt particles settle down. So in this second picture, up to 2 spoons it dissolves means what happens? All the salt particles or else the intermolecular space of water is filled by this salt particles, that is solute. But here in this one there is no intermolecular space of water to occupy the salt particles. So this solution is called saturated solution. 2 spoons it occupies the intermolecular space of water. So this is called saturated solution. Got it, children? But in this one first picture we can add 1 more spoon of salt, isn't it? Already I have added only 1 spoon, isn't it? Here you can add another 1 more spoon. Understood, children? So this solution is called unsaturated solution. Got it, children? Now you go through this definition. Understood? Then coming to the next one, what is solubility? The amount of solute present in the saturated solution. Which is the saturated solution? This is saturated solution. The amount of solute, how much? 2 spoons of salt. Understood? The amount of solute present in the saturated solution at a given temperature is called its solubility. For example, a maximum of 32 grams of potassium nitrate can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at 20 degrees centigrade. So what is the solubility of potassium nitrate at 20 degrees centigrade? 32 grams. Got it, children? Concentration of a solution. Here in this picture we are having 3 test tubes. The 3 test tubes contain copper sulfate, isn't it? So this copper sulfate solution, that color of, what is the color of copper sulfate solution? Blue color, isn't it? So the copper sulfate is blue in color. When you dissolve in water you will be getting copper sulfate solution. Now among these 3, which one will be dark in color? Third test tube. Second test tube little bit dull. Third one very light in color, isn't it? So in this case, why? What is the reason? The third test tube is more dark in blue color because of more copper sulfate, isn't it? Same way, here potassium permanganate solution is there. Potassium permanganate particles dissolve in water, isn't it? Nearly 7 containers are there. In which one potassium permanganate particles will be more in the solution? Definitely this one. Here you are having less, here very less, here very less amount of potassium permanganate particles, isn't it? Now, so based on that amount of solute particles, we will say whether the given solution is diluted or concentrated. So depending upon the amount of solute present in a solution, it can be called a dilute or concentrated. Got it, children? How will you define concentration of a solution? The concentration of a solution may be defined as the amount of solute. What is that? The amount of solute present in a given amount, mass or volume of a solution. Solution may be expressed in mass or volume. That's why we mention mass or volume. Okay. Or the amount of solute dissolved in a given mass or volume of a solvent. So concentration can be expressed in 2 forms. One is amount of solute divided by amount of solution. Another one is amount of solute divided by amount of solvent. Now let's move on to the next one. Various ways of expressing the concentration of a solution. First one, solid in liquid. Solid in liquid solution means solid is a solute, liquid is a solvent. Got it, children? Now, how will you express mass by mass? Percentage of a solution equal to mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. Got it, children? Second one, instead of mass by mass percentage, mass by volume. This liquid I can say it in a mass as well as volume. If I am saying mass by mass means this is the formula. If it is mass by volume, that our liquid is expressed in volume, what is the formula? Mass of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. So under solid in liquid solution, there are two ways of expressing the concentration of a solution. One is mass by mass percentage. Another one is mass by volume percentage. Then second one, liquid in liquid. So liquid is a solute, liquid is a solvent. So both will be expressed in volume and volume. What is the formula? Volume by volume percentage of a solution equal to volume of a solution in ml divided by volume of solution in ml into 100. So there are three ways of expressing the concentration of a solution. Children, so many methods are there, but in 9th standard only three ways only we are going to discuss. Okay, children? Let us see numerical problems based on concentration of a solution. First problem, a solution contains 40 grams of common salt in 320 grams of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. Mass of common salt equal to 40 grams. Mass of water 320 grams. Then what is the mass of solution? Mass of solute plus mass of solvent. Mass of solute, what is the mass of solute? That is common salt. Mass of solvent, water. So 40 plus 320, we will be getting 360. So now we will find out the mass by mass percentage of the solution. What is the formula? Mass of the solute divided by mass of the solution into 100. That is 40 divided by 360 into 100 equal to 11.1 percentage. Find out the mass by volume percentage of 15% solution of sulfuric acid. Here they have given the density equal to 1.02 gram per ml. 15% of solution of sulfuric acid means what? 15 grams of sulfuric acid are present in 100 grams of solution. That is 50% out of 100, isn't it? So 50 divided by 100. Mass of sulfuric acid dissolved, how much? 15 grams. Mass of solution equal to 100 gram. So density of the solution equal to 1.02 gram per milliliter. Actually we have to find out the volume, isn't it? Because what is the formula? What is the question they have asked? Mass by volume. So we have to find out the volume of the solution, isn't it? What is the formula? Mass by density. What is the mass of the solution? 100 grams. Density. That's why we have given density. Understood, children? So 100 divided by 1.02 equal to 98.04 ml. Now what we have to do, children? We have to find out the mass by volume percentage, isn't it? So what is the formula? Mass of the solute divided by volume of the solution into 100. Got it, children? Now what is the answer? Mass of the solute is nothing but 15 grams. Mass volume of the solution 98.04 into 100. You will be getting the answer 15.3%. Got it, children? third problem. A solution contains 5 ml of alcohol in 70 ml of water. Both involves volume. So what is the question? Calculate the volume by volume percentage of the solution. Solute also in volume, solvent also volume, isn't it? Now we will find out. Volume of alcohol equal to 5 ml. Volume of water 70 ml. What is the volume of the solution? We have to find out, isn't it? Volume of alcohol plus volume of water. That is, volume of alcohol is nothing but solute. Volume of water is nothing but solvent. Solute plus solvent, that is volume of alcohol and volume of water, together we will be getting 75 ml, isn't it? Now what is the formula? Volume by volume percentage of a solution equal to volume of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. So what is the answer? 5 divided by 75 into 100. 5 is nothing but volume of alcohol. Volume of solution 75. We have to find out the percentage. That's why we are having 100, isn't it? So final answer 6.66%. Let's move on to the next topic, suspension. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remains suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. It won't dissolve, but after a few minutes it will settle down. For example, that muddy water. If you mix the mud with water, what happens? It will be there for a few minutes, but after a few minutes it will be settled down, isn't it? This is an example for suspension. Then this is calcium oxide. When you dissolve in the water, you will be getting calcium hydroxide, but it will be after a few minutes it will be deposited at the bottom. It will be settled down, so it will come under suspension. The same way bleaching powder also will come under suspension. Okay, children. What is colloidal solution? Solutions in which the size of the particles lies in between those of the true solutions and suspensions, already we discussed, isn't it, are called colloidal solutions, or simply you can say colloids. Children, you can say colloidal solutions as well as colloids. Both are correct because it appears like a solution, but actually it is not a solution. It's a colloidal solution. Okay, under microscope, which microscope, children? Ultra microscope, we can able to see the size of the particles. Milk, paint and blood are examples for colloidal solutions. Let's move on to the next topic, components of colloids. What are the components of colloids? There are two components. One is dispersing phase, another one is dispersing medium. The solute-like component which has been dispersed or distributed throughout in a solvent-like medium is called the dispersing phase. So dispersing medium you can compare with solute. Okay, children, that is less amount. The solvent-like medium in which the dispersed phase has been distributed or dispersed is called dispersing medium. That is, solvent-like medium is called dispersing medium, or else you can remember more amount. Okay, children, less amount is dispersed phase, more amount dispersing medium. That is nothing but solvent-like medium in which the dispersed phase has been distributed or dispersed is called dispersing medium. Here we are having colloid. Okay, in this dispersing medium is nothing but more amount, this one. Okay, children, that less amount, that is solute like component, this are not there in the colloid, isn't it? That is dispersed phase. Now we are going to discuss some common examples of colloids. A dispersing phase, dispersing medium, type of colloid and examples. isn't it? Now dispersed phase is nothing but solute, isn't it? So I have taken everything solid here. Dispersing medium only changed, isn't it? Solid, liquid, gas. Now we will see one by one. Dispersed phase is solid and dispersing medium is solid. What is the type of colloid? Solid salt, that is colored gemstones, milky glass. So this is colored gemstones, this is milky glass. Now coming to the next one, solid liquid. Type of colloid is salt. Examples, starch salt, muddy water, white of an egg, paint, blood, plasma, gelatin, etc. This is white of an egg. Okay children, this is an, what is the type of colloid? Salt. Gelatin also salt. Okay children, so if they asked what is the white of an egg, what is the type of colloid means, you have to say salt. And what is the dispersed phase means solid. What is the dispersing medium means liquid. Like this you have to read. First you read all examples. From the examples you find out what is dispersed phase and what is dispersing medium and write type of colloid. Got it children? Then third one, that smoke. Smoke is an example for solid aerosol, not only smoke, dust storm. So what is the dispersed phase in this case? Solid aerosol. Solid is the dispersed phase and gas is the dispersing medium. Got it children? Then next one, dispersed phase. I have taken as liquid as a common dispersed phase. Here dispersing medium, solid, liquid, gas. So liquid and solid, what is the type of colloid? Gel. That is jelly, cheese, butter, curd and all will come under the type of gel. Gel is the type of colloid. Then if I am taking milk, face cream and cod liver oil, okay children, these and all will come under the type of emulsion. In this case both dispersing phase and dispersing medium for this one, it is a liquid. Okay children, both are liquid. What is the nature of the colloid? Type of the colloid means emulsion. Then third one, aerosol. The third type of, next type of aerosol in the liquid I am saying. Okay, liquid is the dispersed phase and dispersing medium is gas. What are the examples? Fog, clouds, mist and spray. Got it children? So these are the liquid act as a dispersed phase. Then coming to the gas act as a dispersed phase. Here dispersed phase is gas, dispersing medium solid, liquid, because gas air only, so we are not having that option, only two options are there. So solid foam, what are the examples? Pumice stone, foam, sponge and bread. This is pumice stone. In the solid, gas will be there, isn't it? This is sponge. Then next type, foam type, soap lather, shaving cream. These are examples of foam. In the foam, what is the dispersed phase? Gas. What is the dispersing medium? Liquid. Got it children? So what type of colloid? Foam is the type of colloid. That soap lather and shaving cream will come under foam type of colloid. So nearly 8 types of colloids are there. 8 examples I have given. Children, read the examples first. From the examples you find out what is dispersed phase and dispersing medium and type of colloid. Understood children? Now let's move on to the summary. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. The major component of a solution is called the solvent and the minor solute. Then we discussed about the true solution, aqueous and non-aqueous solution. Then we discussed saturated solutions and unsaturated solutions. Then we are discussed types of solution: solid solutions, liquid solutions, and gaseous solutions. Under this also we discussed three in each one, three. Totally we are having 9 types of solution. Then concentration of a solution. Then how will you find out the concentration of a solution? And we discussed various methods to find out the concentration of a solution, and we did some problems also, isn't it? Then suspension. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Then we discussed colloids. Colloids are the heterogeneous mixtures in which the size of the particles lies in between those of true solutions and suspensions, and we discussed some common examples of colloids also. Nearly 8 types of colloids we discussed. Go through that one and thorough with this concept. Okay, children. Then now I'll give some assignment questions. Assessment questions. Now take your rough note and copy down the questions and try to give the answers. Under which category of mixtures will you classify alloys and why? Give an example of non-aqueous solution. Give one example of a solution in which liquid is a solute as well as the solvent. What is the reason for the difference in properties of solutions, colloids, and suspensions? Milk is a dash solution, but vinegar is a dash solution. Last question. The particle size of a substance A present in water is 200 nanometer. What is the nature of the solution? Try to give the answer and check your answers. Thank you, children.